Hello Chi Sisters, welcome back to the Way of Joy training videos. Today I want to complete the process of transition that we've been working on. So as we entered into the new year, we began this process. You may have selected a change that was related to your resolutions. I want to make sure I cook for myself, cook nourishing foods for myself, or I want to get more sleep, or I want to make sure that I exercise more, or that I make more money, or whatever the things are that we might have chosen to focus on. If we did, I asked you to choose a change to start with. This change may be something you want to carry forward as we go through all the steps of transition, or you may find you're wanting to work on different changes. That's fine too. So a quick review, especially if you're working on new changes, is the first step is to release that which is no longer serving you, letting go of the past, letting go of whatever it is, the habit or the functions that are no longer feeding you information. And once we let that go, we create space and we draw something else in. So that was step 2. What am I drawing in? The first is, what am I releasing? The second, what am I drawing in? And then the third step that we talked about last time was integrating. How do I integrate that into all of who I am? Whatever it is that I'm bringing forward, my wisdom, my experiences, your wisdom, your experiences, your way of doing things, your way of seeing the world. How does this new piece of energy integrate into that? So then step 4, which I'd like to work on today, is to create internal space for that to happen. So step 4 is a very simple move. In fact, let's do it for a moment. We're going to inhale, and you're going to just push your hands forward and then relax. Now, as you inhale, I'd like you to pay attention to your lungs expanding. So you're literally creating space inside of your lungs. So inhale, and then relax. Okay, again, inhale, and this time I'd like you, as your hands go forward, to imagine you're pushing in all directions at once, as though you had 1,000 arms around you, pushing in all directions, opening up the area around your lungs and your heart. So inhale, and that's it. What I'd like you to do next is to take a moment and write. You might want to put the video on pause, and what you're going to write is, inside myself, I know this change means. Inside myself, I know this change means. And then once you've finished writing that, you can go ahead and start the video again, and we'll embody it one more time. One of the things to bear in mind with this creating internal space, we are going to do it again in a moment, but is to remember that this is a way to access the concept, or which is the second law in the Way of Joy system. Chi moves in the space between. Now, if you want to know more about that law, I recommend that you check out the video on the resources page about that. But what I'd like to say about it now is that as you're pushing forward, you're creating space in your lungs, you're listening for that inside information about what that change means. This is the same kind of concept as being in the microcosm and the macrocosm, right? Which is basically space. Right, they say, when you think about the sky and how far apart stars are, when you think really in terms of how really, we can see them now, but sometimes they're traveling over millennia, and certainly great distances, and that, that it's mostly space, and then there's these particles. In the same way, our cells are made up of space that have particles in them, and if you go down into deeper and deeper levels, atomic and subatomic, down to the particles that are like what we call quartz, there's still all of these so-called particles are still mostly made up of space. This is something that quantum physics, one of these wonderful mysteries that quantum physics explores. And so we are made up basically of the same matter as the universe, that we are in this field of chi, and that chi is in us and it's around us, that we're almost like sponges being able to receive and give out energy. So when you go through this internal place, you're also opening up that internal space, which I think of as like the gap between the notes. It's what makes the music. It's that internal listening, the space between, that allows energy to start to move and be created and be formed and take shape. So this is important. As you inhale, you're going to push your hands forward and relax. Let's do that one more time, and then we'll take it to the next step. So inhale, and then as you exhale, you bring your arms up and out to the two sides. Okay, so this movement is the step 5 of your transition. So transition, we've gone through letting go, drawing in, integrating, and now creating internal space to feel for what that change means. And you know how sometimes when you go through a change, people will come up to you and say, you look so different. What's been going on? You look, there's something really, you're glowing or whatever. That's your Wei Qi field. That's the energy that you actually emit. And so what happens is after you do that internal work of, okay, this change, it's a way of owning that change when you do this move, and you're owning it. You're listening inside saying, this is what it means, this is what I feel about it, what I know about it. And then exhale, allowing it to happen, allowing it to unfold, just like a flower opening. You're just allowing that light to shine all the way around you. So the rite that I'd like you to do for this is, the energy I am now emitting is, the energy I am sending out is. When you think about yourself in the change, what is the energy that you feel like you want? Is it radiant health? Is it heartfelt connections? Whatever it might be that you're radiating out, that the intention that you're putting in here to radiate out is this movement here. So go ahead and write down for, it can be a minute, 30 seconds, or longer if you want to journal. So you've created internal space, and now what are you emitting? Then come back to the video. Okay, so here we are. So as you inhale, you're creating internal space, exhaling, allowing that energy to expand around you in Wei Qi. And then finally you inhale. This is the last move, number 6. You inhale, bring your arms in. So you're just drawing in information and a sense of also just being able to rest, a relaxation, a break, a moment of time, out of time at the end of a change. Okay, so the right for that is this final thing, right? Because this is it's called a contraction. So every expansion is followed by a contraction, and in this case, this contraction is all about relaxing, self-nourishing, letting yourself be in your small self, being able to take off your any stuff that you wear out in the world and just be in your sweats or your jammies. It's that kind of thing. It says, okay, it's done. The change is done. It's finished. So that's the final piece that I'd like you to write, which is, now that I'm relaxing, or now that the change is done, I can see that, or I know that. Now that this completion, or this, now that this change is finished, I know that. So take a moment to write that, then come back and we'll put the whole form back together again. So let's put it together. I do recommend you go onto your Pivot to Positive program and look at the training video on the transition move and be able to practice it over and over again with that video. But just so you can feel it right now, we're going to have our feet hip distance apart. Feel your tailbone reaching down towards the earth. Lift the crown of your head up towards the sky, then letting go, drawing in as you inhale. Exhale, integrating into what you already know or who you already are. Then inhale, creating that internal spaciousness, that microcosmic level of consciousness. Then exhale, your Wei Qi expands. People respond. You are living the change. And inhale, come home to your center to be able to evaluate, process, and take it in. And that's right there in the lower dantian. Okay, again, I recommend that if you could take those five extra minutes to go on to the transition video. I'm going to go ahead and post that below, but in the meantime, I hope that this is helpful. I want to hear your responses. I would particularly love it, those of you that have been getting on to Facebook Live to talk about your transition, about those different steps. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about in this process. If you were to take the 6 steps and name them in the change that you're in right now, put it all together. What is it? If you don't want to put it on Facebook Live, write it on Facebook. I'd love to see it there, or of course, you can always email me. I'm very eager to hear from you. So till next time, be well and let the Qi flow. Bye-bye.